Hello everybody, this is Mr. Bird again, back with module number 2, lesson number 10. This lesson goes with chapter number 4 of the Phantom Toll Booth, and we're going to go through a couple of things that you can use for your at-home lesson. As you can see probably in my background here, this is from my bedroom, so I've got a lamp and all those different things all over the place there. So let's get started with what we need to do for this lesson. The first thing I want to point out to you, let me bring up the welcome screen. All right, we got that there. And we want to go to our response journal. Now, again, we've not officially been keeping a response journal. Typically, we do that on a piece of paper. So if you want to, you can write this down, write down your answer. But the response journal for this lesson is create a list of all the places Milo has visited so far in the lands beyond and all the characters he has met. So again, you're making a list of all the places that Milo has visited so far in the lands beyond and all the characters he has met. All right, we'll go to the next slide. Now, I know you're at home working on this possibly, so you can talk to your parents or someone that's there with you. But it says, with a partner, respond to the following questions. What do the names of places and characters in the lands beyond have in common? What can you conclude about how the author, Norton Juster, creates and names settings and characters in the fictional world? Now, what that means is, well, I want you to read that to yourself. Again, it's what can you conclude about how the author, Norton Juster, creates and names settings and characters in this fictional world. All right, so let's talk about our launch activity. Okay, so let me get a couple of things here. I like to keep my notes moving here. So a couple of things that we want to look at is that Juster takes common words such as lethargy. Now we talked about that in a previous lesson. We know that lethargy means tired, lazy. We did some examples of that in class. We talked about somebody being lethargic, not really wanting to do much, and diction, and turns them into proper names of places and characters in the lands beyond. Juster's names often involve wordplay. Now, again, our focus in this unit or this module so far has been on wordplay. For example, the weatherman's name plays on the homophones weather and weather. Now, remember, homophones are words that sound the same but that are spelled differently. Okay? The descriptions of places and characters in the lands beyond reflect in meaning of the names. For example, the doldrums are gray and depressing, and nothing ever happens there. And the weatherman is always thinking about whether X might happen or Y might happen. Remember, whether or not this takes place or that takes place, that's what the weatherman worries about. So our framing question today for this lesson is, what does a deeper exploration of characters' traits reveal? And we'll talk about what are character traits. Now, I want you to remember character traits are qualities that make up a character's personality. So I want you to think of and see if you can recall a few of the character traits we assigned to Milo in chapter 1. So if you remember in chapter 1, Milo was very blah. He's very bored. He's very boring. He's not very excited about many things. And so that he's kind of a bored type person. If we think back to Thunder Rolling in the Mountains, and we think of Chief Joseph, we can use a character trait to describe him as being wise. We can think of Sound of Running Feet as being brave. So that's just kind of an example of a character trait. Now, what are some strategies we can use to help determine the character traits? Well, what we can do is look for clues about new characters as we read today to discover, there's a typo there, their traits and how they can represent certain words and ideas. So we're going to study some of these characters today in this lesson and see if we can figure out what these character traits are that we're looking at. So what I want you to do, you're going to read lesson 4 today by yourself. And it says, as you read, flag details that spark your curiosity about new characters that Milo meets in this chapter. So you're going to come across some very interesting characters as we have, and I want you to kind of make some notes about those characters and those characters that you meet and what you think is so unique about them. All right, so pay close attention to words you may not understand, like, for example, lavish, extravagant, disdain. If you have disdain for something or someone, it means a feeling of scorn for something or extreme hatred for it. Like, I disdain, I'm a Tennessee Volunteers fan, so I could say I disdain Florida Gators and Alabama Crimson Tide. So I know I probably made some of you upset with that statement, but oh well. So disdain is a strong feeling of scorn towards someone or something. All right. So after we read, it says discuss the following questions with your partner, which obviously you're doing this lesson at home, so you can jot down a few notes if you want to, but who do Milo and Talk meet in this episode? And what happens between them? Again, I believe it's chapter number 4 is what we're looking at. So take some notes on that. We'll discuss it in class. All right. Now, Milo and Talk, they meet the spelling bee and a character named Humbug. Now, the spelling bee and Humbug, they get into an argument and end up knocking over the stalls in the marketplace, and they cause a great mess of jumbled up words, which we'll talk about that. You'll want to take out handout 6A, setting and character analysis. And on the directions, it says complete each row of the chart below to help you understand the meaning and wordplay of places or characters in the Phantom Toll Booth. All right, so we have the setting or the character names description. How does the author describe the setting or the character? For character, consider his or her looks, words, and actions. Include direct quotations and paraphrasing. Remember, paraphrase, we learned that in the first module. It means to just summarize it, make it in just in your own words, tell what's going on. Illustration, what does the illustration of this place or character show? How does it add to your understanding of the place or the character? So the author or the artist has drawn some pictures in your chapter 4, and I want you to use that to kind of help you uh, explain how do those drawings help you understand what's going on. And I'll let you read through the rest of those at your own pace. So you can pause the video here if you wanted to work on 6A. All right, TDQ. How does the author describe the spelling bee? What do we learn about him from the author's description as well as his words and actions in this episode? All right, so we learned that the spelling bee is a giant bee who spells words. He's very proud of his spelling abilities. He tells Milo he can spell any word. He tells Milo that he used to be an ordinary bee, but then one day he realized he would never amount to anything without an education. The spelling bee does not like the humbug. He tells Milo not to believe anything that the humbug says. All right. So these TDQs, these are questions. All right. So it says to kind of check our understanding. It says, what does the illustration on page 51 show? How does it support your understanding of the spelling bee and Milo's feelings towards him? And so there's 1, 2, 3, 4 points there you can look at to kind of help you see what's going on with the illustration there on page 51. Okay, so it says, now that you have studied the spelling bee's character, what do you think a spelling bee is? Record your definition in the literal meaning row. Okay, so literal, you can look up the meaning of that word. What does it mean, literal? So it says literal meaning based on the description and illustration. infer the meaning of the settings or characters' names, verify the meaning using a dictionary or teacher-provided definition. So I want you to look up the word spelling bee. You might want to do a Google search. It says my definition. So in that box, you're going to write down what you think the word spelling bee means, and then look up the actual definition and write it right there. Okay. Now, how is spelling bee's name yet another example of wordplay? So I want you to take a little bit of time and answer that for yourself. And then, of course, right there it says the name spelling bee is a play on words because he is literally a bee who spells words. A spelling bee is also a contest in which people compete against each other to correctly spell words. So we're answering these as we go. In this chapter, Milo and Talk also meet the Humbug, who is literally a large bug. Now, it says, explain that students will study the description and illustrations of this chapter or of this character more deeply to determine the meaning of the word humbug. Now, on the second handout of 6A, I want you to write the humbug's name. So I'll let you take a second to do that. Let me go back here. Whoops. All right. Work in small groups to complete the first 3 rows of the chart for the humbug's character. Reread page 53 through 56 as needed to support your deeper exploration of the humbug's character. So obviously you're working on this at home, so you'll want to do this by yourself. Go back and read page 53 and 56 as needed. And I want you to explore a little bit more about the humbug's character and tell me a little bit more about him. All right. We'll do this in class. I'll let you share some observations about the description and illustration of the humbug. And I want you to guess or infer what do you think the word humbug means. We're getting close to Christmas. Humbug is a term that's sometimes used around Christmas. All right. So a humbug, here's a definition for you. It's a person involved in an act meant to trick or deceive someone, someone who pretends to be someone they are not, a dishonest or insincere person. Fake, fraud, imposter, phony. So I'll take that back. We just had Halloween. Some of us could have been a faker, fraud, imposter, or a phony among us. That's a humbug. All right. How does this definition compare with your inference? Now, again, inference means I take the facts that I know and I make an educated guess about what I think a certain word means. How does knowing the meaning of humbug help you better understand the humbug's traits or personality? Independently complete the last row for wordplay on handout 6A to explain how the humbug's name is an example of wordplay. All right, so the humbug is a bug, a large beetle-like insect. That's on page 53. The name humbug is a play on words because he is literally a bug who tells stories about himself and his relatives that aren't true. A humbug is an imposter who pretends to be someone he is not and tries to trick others into believing things that are not true. Okay? In the previous lesson, lesson number 9, we examined a snapshot of an imaginary place called Abandon. Like the humbug and spelling bee, many other characters and places in the Phantom Toll Booth, the meaning of abandon is revealed throughout the author's description. What are some of the qualities of a strong snapshot in writing? A snapshot helps readers visualize something like a setting or a character in a story. A snapshot uses lots of descriptions and sensory language so readers can see, hear, smell, taste, or smell what the author is writing about. So If you use a lot of sensory words, that means that the reader can almost smell it. If you're talking about some kind of food, you can almost taste it. You can see it. You can smell it. You know what it's going to taste like. All right, so that's an example of uh, strong snapshot in writing. All right, so close your eyes. All right, go ahead, close your eyes. I see some of you are peeking. I'll wait. I'm going to read two sentences. Now, as I read, you should practice the module listening. Goal, visualize what others say. So sentence number one. Now close your eyes. I see you peeking. I'll wait. See, you think I don't know you're peeking, but you are. Through a window, Milo saw plates of food left on tabletops. Can you see it? Sentence number two. Close your eyes. I see you. Through the window of a diner, Milo spied plates of half-eaten scrambled eggs and toast left on red and white checkered tabletops. Now, with your eyes still closed, trying to peek, hold up the number one or two of the sentence that gave the clearer, more vivid picture of the scene in your mind. So which one gave you a better picture? All right, how does the writer's word choice differ in each sentence? What effect do these choices have on your ability to visualize what's happening in the scene? So I'll go back. So there's your two sentences. The first one was through a window, Milo spied plates of food left on the table. All right, so the second one was through a window of a diner. Milo spied plates of half-eaten scrambled eggs and toast left on red and white checkered tabletops. So, which sentence for you gave more of an image? You're probably going to say two. Okay? So, how do I improve word choice in a setting snapshot? Good writers think carefully about their word choice or the words they choose to use in their writing. In narrative writing, word choice is especially important because writers want to make a story come alive for their readers. So I'm going to stop right there. So we're going to be doing a narrative writing. And when you do that, you really want to use a lot of descriptive words that helps the reader feel like they're in the middle of the activity. In other words, to do so, writers must choose interesting words rather than tired, overused words. So today, you're going to focus on two techniques to strengthen snapshots. All right, you're going to replace tired, overused words with vivid verbs that pack a punch, concrete or specific details. Instead of writing Milo saw, you could say Milo spied, or Milo glimpsed, or Milo spotted. Okay? Excuse me. So those words are a little bit more vivid. They're more exciting than the word Milo saw. Okay? It's got a little action to it. Concrete details, instead of writing plates of food left on tabletops, you could write plates of uneaten pancakes abandoned on plastic red tablecloths. The others watched the ball go up, took off their mitts, and left. Try out this technique above by rewriting the sentence in your response journal, replacing the underlined verb with more vivid verbs and adding concrete specific details around the underlined words to help readers visualize the sentence. Now, you may not copy this sentence above from the snapshot on handout 9B. You must revise the sentence with different verbs. So I want to check this for you whenever I see you next and see if you did go through and change the wording up and make this a little bit more exciting. Now, reread the snapshot sentence you wrote about abandoned elementary school in lesson number 9. and highlight the verbs that do not pack a punch and details that could be more concrete or specific. Then work on revising these sentences to include more vivid verbs and concrete details. Now, I want you to try out a variety of verbs and concrete details in your sentence. So we're going to go back to that activity where we wrote about abandoned elementary school. And I want you to replace some of your words, your verbs that you're using, and try to pick one that shows a little bit more action to it. Helps really make the reader feel like they are there. All right, let's look at our land activity. I'm going to get my notes here for this. And so what we're going to look at is, what does a deeper exploration of characters' traits reveal? Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I'm going to go back here. So I want you to jot down, jot, pair, share. That means one or two words or phrases that describe the spelling bee and Humbug's traits or personalities. So I want you to think of what are some vivid words that we could use to describe the Humbug and spelling bee's traits or personalities. Okay, so for example, I could say the spelling bee is intelligent. Okay, and you think of other words that we could use to describe the spelling bee and the Humbug. All right, now I want you to think about the details in the author's description of these characters. So what you'll have to do is go back and look on pages 50 and 54, or the descriptions of the characters on handout 6A, as you think of how you would describe the Humbug and spelling bee. All right, now good readers, let me see here. Let me see here. I'm going to pop through this real quick. Okay, so there's what I just talked about. I want you to look back on page 50 to 54 and the descriptions of the characters on handout 6A for support in answering the question. So you're going to look at 6A, and I want you to think about the Humbug and spelling bee and some words that we could use to describe him. Now, good readers infer characters' traits or personalities by paying attention to their words and actions. Remember that this strategy is especially important in Juster's novel, The Phantom Tollbooth, since descriptions of characters, what they say, and how they behave also provide clues about the meanings of their names. All right, we're going to wrap up. And your homework, it says carefully read the featured fluency passage from Chapter 2 of The Phantom Tollbooth. Practice reading the passage aloud 3 to 5 times. Evaluate your progress in the unshaded box for day 3, and then ask an adult or peer to listen to you and evaluate you as well. So you're doing a fluency reading as well, and I'll provide that for you. Okay. Then I also want you to watch, I'm going to post a video about prepositional phrases uh, and what those are, so that you can watch that. And I want you to take some notes also about prepositional phrases and what the video tells you about those. Okay, so after this lesson, you'll click on the next video, prepositional phrases, and you'll watch that and take down some notes, some things that you learn about prepositional phrases. Okay. Well, that concludes our lesson number 10. I hope that this helps you. Remember, you can always pause it as many times as you need to. Go back and watch it again and pay attention to different parts of this. If you need to go back and watch it, you're more than welcome to do so. If you have any questions for me, I'm going to I think put a link in Google Classroom. I've not decided yet when I film this, but you'll see it where you can do a Google Meet, and if you have a question for me, you can click on there and or message me somehow. We'll figure it out. So I hope you're having a good day. Look forward to seeing you in the next class. Thank you guys for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day virtually learning. Have a good day. Bye.